This is William Tincup and Ryan Leary, and you are listening to the Use Case Podcast. Today we have Sean on from KANNY. We're going to be learning all about KANNY, all about Sean. Would you do us a favor, Sean, and introduce yourself and KANNY? Thanks, Ryan.
I
Absolutely.
love the way you say that.
Well, and it's the hand motions as well. It's like
Yeah,
pointing
if
at
you're
me,
watching, he's like,
I gotta pay, I gotta look at the camera. I gotta look at Willie. I
can't
can
do
only
it.
do one thing at a time. We all know this.
You're all good.
First of all, thank you for having me on the
Sure.
show, you guys. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan. I've been working with William for a while, and nice to get to work with you, Ryan. And so I love that you guys give an audience or an opportunity for founders like myself to come and talk about the things that are exciting to us, like, I don't know, HR tech, right? Who says that? So first and foremost,
We won't hold
thank
that against you.
No,
thank
no,
you.
no, no.
I appreciate
You
that.
just
Good
dropped your
intro.
cool points like
This is
10.
Yeah,
I, he said this was a judgment-free zone, but maybe that was only
100%.
for the off-camera
100%.
Yeah.
conversation. So I don't know if that's great or not. But yeah, so look, my name is Sean. I have been a serial entrepreneur. I've been involved in multiple startups, multiple exits, and have really just enjoyed building and solving problems. My latest, my previous adventure, I was part of an organization called Thread or Thread Research. You can see it at threadresearch.com. We built a tool that automates remote clinical trials. So in the life sciences space, healthcare, heavily regulated, dealing with personal data. Learned everything there is to learn about dealing with um, data and the regulations around that in the healthcare and life sciences space. I loved that job. We built this application. We ended up selling it to private equity. I stuck around for a few years as their chief operating officer and ended up retiring and leaving to go and find what I want to do next in life. Um, I learned a ton about how to bring a product to market. I learned a ton about working with customers, how valuable and important their input is into the actual iteration and development process. And I love being part of the technology and the SaaS world. So then the last few years I've spent doing a few passion projects. Number one is I teach a class at Lehigh University. So Lehigh is on the East Coast. It's right outside of Philadelphia. It's an engineering
Oh.
school. Yeah.
Are you physically in Lehigh?
No, I'm in Southern California.
Oh,
So
well
I'm
then
one of the
that's not
only.
exciting for me.
Yeah.
I'm
I
actually
did.
from Allentown though. We grew up there.
Oh, okay. So I'm in Hatfield. See, that's exciting for me. So I'm right below
So if I
Quakertown.
so if I said these two words to you, do they
Oh,
resonate with you? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Go Birds.
Hell yeah, it does. Kind of,
Yeah,
kind of like Dallas sucks. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Wait, what are we talking about again?
You can't do that. This is a professional podcast. You can't
no,
get
no.
on this.
No, hey, you know what? On one of our last episodes, it was
Yeah.
all Houston. It was Houston
Oh,
Astros, Texas Rangers. So this is
okay.
good.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, good.
No, it's fair.
Yeah.
It always balances out.
So I grew up in the Lehigh Valley, so diehard
Got it.
Birds fans, Sixers, Flyers, Phils, like all of that. But I relocated to Southern California, and this is where I'll stay. I'll raise my family here. I love it out here. The weather here is way better.
Yeah, for sure.
But my heart's still in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I went to Emmaus High School, if that rings a bell.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I teach at Lehigh University. I am one of the very few, probably remote professors, right? But the class that I teach, I was brought in to teach a capstone class, right? So it's a series of engineers, and it's their typically their junior, spring, senior, fall, so a full calendar year, and they're given projects and work from local business, other businesses that actually need to get done. So it's their first opportunity to work together as a team. It's a first opportunity to work together with clients and customers. And so I teach them how to project manage, how to work with themselves to figure out and divvy up work, how to estimate, how to communicate
Oh,
with
that's
clients and
cool.
get things done. And it's
That is
been an absolute
interesting.
blast. And it's fun me coming outside of academia to see how academia actually works. And it's been a delight. I work with some great people and we do some really cool work.
Did you
They
go to
also
Lehigh? Was there a
no, I
tie?
went to Penn State actually.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Ryan
So
went
like
to Temple.
okay, right on. Yeah,
I could have went
always
anywhere, Sean. I could have
anywhere
went anywhere. I chose Temple.
and
There you go.
They were really the only ones to accept my ass.
Well,
Don't worry about
you wanted to
it.
be you wanted to be an owl, and that's okay.
I didn't even
That's
get a
okay.
scholarship. They didn't even give me a scholarship. That's
And
how bad I was.
you were just grateful they took you.
Yes, that's pretty much
I
what that
I
was.
was, yeah.
He was walking
I
by
got
one day.
grants.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, and the thing is, I got accepted at Penn State only if I went in summer session, so I had to go the summer ahead of time to get in. And here is the dirty little secret. You ready? I never finished college. I have 18 credits. 18
Oh,
total.
all
My
right.
daughter is a junior in college right
You have
now,
18
and
left, or you have
total,
18 total? So you
total.
did 1 year.
Well, I was there for 2.5 years. Judgment-free zone, you guys. There's
There's got to
no.
be a fraternity involved here. There's a
Yeah.
fraternity involved. Yes.
We need to
Yeah,
hear this story, Sean.
there's no real exciting story. Just dumb kid gets overcommitted to do lots of things and stops doing
Yeah.
all of them except for his fraternity, right? Like
Yeah.
stops going to
My
class, stops work. I mean, the whole thing. So, but
my oldest brother, John,
yeah,
he went to Stephen F. Austin in
yes.
East Texas, and went for an entire year and never went to class.
Hmm.
And he was
Oh,
just wrapped
nice.
up. He was a Theta Chi. He was wrapped up in fraternity business,
Yeah.
like
Hey, there's a
planning
good work to be done there.
a lot of work,
A lot of
planning
work
the
to be
next
done.
party, a lot of planning the next party, making sure that everything's set in place.
That's
Think
right.
about it.
That's right.
Logistics, project management,
You're
party
learning a
planning,
lot, learning a lot.
Preach, preach. The
customer
most important
service
thing
to make
is
sure
customer service. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Got to work with a sorority. Got to be able to
Yeah.
interact with like what's
yeah.
going on there. Like
Communication is
Just
key.
think of the character he built.
Yes, exactly.
he
Oh,
came.
geez.
My mom.
This is not the story I was hoping to tell,
No,
but hey, we went there.
no,
We
but
went there.
it's
Let's
it's
own it.
good that we have all of these shared
Yeah.
experiences. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
So it's good.
yeah.
So now I'm working with Lehigh University. They're amazing, and one of the really cool assignments I get to do with them is I've been pulled into what's called the Global Social Impact Fellowship Program. And what this is a genius program. A gentleman there named Kanjan Mehta has set up where he has set it up so that students here in the U.S. partner with students in a developing country. So we work with Sierra Leone, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, and India as well.
Right.
And they build a business. So it's like an entrepreneurial school. They partner with a university in another college, and they build a business, and it's a whole opportunity for students to work together to bring something to market. And so I'm working
Wow.
with 3 different countries right now. I just got back from Kazakhstan. Said almost no one ever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
just I just got back from Kazakhstan where we spent 2 weeks working with universities there, and we were bringing a Almaty Kazakhstan has one of the worst kind of pollution problems there. So
Right.
we're bringing a technology to bear where we allow and educate elementary school age children on sustainable environmental habits, right? To get habits early on to help protect the environment. So the students built this technology. They built the curriculum. They went and we pitched it to universities and we pitched it to the UN. And I mean, everyone wants it. And now we're going to deliver it and pilot it in the fall. So that's one of the things that I get to kind of work on
That's
in
awesome.
my free time. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm working on right now. And it's super fun. But the thing that I'm most passionate about and the thing that I spend, most of my time on is this startup, right? So that's a little bit about who I am. Let me tell you a little bit about the startup. You guys tell me what you think, right? So I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people in my career. And I love that. I feel like I'm good at it. But
All
I
great
had
hires.
all great hires.
Yep.
Never had a
Lie,
bad hire in his life.
Never missed.
lie. I look back.
Let's start by. I'm going to ask you what William always asks me.
Yeah, yeah,
How do you
yeah.
like your feedback? You asked about it, and we got it. Like, how do you like it?
Yeah.
Some would say served cold later, but I'll take it. However you want to do it, I will take it.
So you hired hundreds of people.
Yeah, and I look back and I'm like, I probably wasn't as good as I thought I was, and maybe a 60% success rate, where success means they've stuck around longer than 6 months. They were
Right.
able to
Yeah.
actually perform the job that they were hired to do. They weren't completely toxic and hurt the team, and so in hindsight, like wasn't as successful as I like it to be. And
That's
we
Hall
all
of
know
Fame
how
numbers.
important it is. Hall of Fame. No, most people I talk to are like 60% is pretty good. There's some people that are like 60. I'm like 99%. I'm like, okay, good job.
Yeah.
Like, keep
Jordan,
Well,
doing
that
what
means
you're doing.
40% shit the bed.
Right,
Jordan,
exactly. That's
Jordan hit
exactly right.
202 in
Yeah,
Double A ball.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. These are Hall of Fame numbers, I think, but they've got to be better. And for me, introspective. Like, why is it that way? And here's a couple realizations. You guys tell me what you think about these. Right. Number one, the entire hiring process is curated by the candidate. Right. Think about that. The resume, the interview, their LinkedIn profile, their social profile, their references, all handpicked, packaged, sealed, delivered to you in this negotiation and sales process by the candidate.
They built the
Okay?
narrative.
They've built a narrative and good on them. That's what they should be doing. They're trying to sell and get into a job.
Hmm.
Right.
And most people are very genuine and very honest in that in entire approach. And that's super important.
Most with an asterisk.
Until they can get another bump in salary, then it's
Then it's
you know,
time to, add a
embellish and
little
tell
bit
the
of extra
story.
to that resume. But there's some crazy data out there where like X percent, and I don't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to quote it, but it's significantly more than you would think of people fudge their resume. Like they
Right.
exaggerate everything from exaggeration to lie to leave out, right? And again, it's part of the sales process. And no one's verifying this. Like it's very
Right.
difficult to verify and validate this. And so let's say challenge number one is that like the whole process is curated by the candidate to get real kind of other
Right.
information about that candidate is incredibly difficult.
Third party
Incredibly
validation.
difficult. Yeah. Right. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two. We just recently ran a poll on LinkedIn where it was what is most important when hiring, right? And let's break it down into the three things. Hard skills. We know what hard skills are. It's like, can they actually do the job?
Right.
Soft skills, like, can they manage their own time? Are they good communicators, right? Like soft skills. And then the third one was character. What do you guys think? Where do you think we had about 1,500 responses on this poll. Where do you think people landed on those things?
Characters number one, soft skills number two, hard skills number three.
And
I
you're
would
right.
I would I would hope it ended that way. I'm not sure character hit number one though.
Character hit 80 and then number one by like 80 some percent
Yeah.
Wow.
to the point where it wasn't even close.
No. That's not,
Okay,
that's not
so
even a fair fight.
right. So point number two is that character is super super important, right? And it's not just me saying that. And I think you guys would probably nod your heads and say,
Yeah.
yeah, when we bring people in, their honesty, their integrity, their work ethic, their respect, their humility, like these are things that are actually way, way more important than we probably even giving credit for. Okay, so point number two. I think
Well,
we can agree.
because that's
Yeah, go ahead.
tethered to values and culture, retention,
Right.
and
Yeah.
sales, and caring, and empathy, and all these other things that's hard to get to otherwise.
Right. So Sean, as we're talking, you'll probably have a thought on this, and this I don't want to
Yeah,
derail
yeah.
us, but keep it
No,
in the back of
please.
your mind. Hiring for a full-time employee, character number one. Does that change if you're hiring a gig worker or a freelancer? Are you just hiring them for the hard skill? Does that change
Oh,
perception?
so that's a super interesting question, right? Our audience is like the white collar, 2 to 3 years into their job to director VP level, right? So Canny's audience is just that, and that's really where we've paid attention. But let me flip that question back to you. You tell me, you're hiring someone who you're like, hey, I just want them to edit my podcast for every day. You tell me what's how important is work ethic, honesty, integrity in just a contractor who's doing some editing jobs for you?
I think
How
it
important?
depends on how hard up I am. If I need
Ah,
something delivered and I'm behind, from
yep.
a gig worker freelancer perspective,
Okay.
here's what I have, give it back to me.
I don't know,
That's it.
Ryan. You can take the boy out of Philly. You can't take the boy out of Philly out of the
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, there it
I've
is.
I've seen you on several projects. I've seen you run
Yeah,
several
I
DIY
know.
projects,
Yeah, I know.
and you've brought in contractors, and in almost every one of those cases, you've had some problem,
Yeah,
and it
because they were
wasn't with the
assholes.
yeah, but it wasn't to do with their job. It was
Yeah.
something to do with
Right.
them communicate their ethics,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't remember the tile thing or something like that,
Yeah,
but
so if
like,
I got smarter, I would hire for character all the time or a
right,
combination of. But I
right,
think it really depends on how, like if we need something that was needed 5 days ago, if you
yeah,
can get it done and I can trust you're going to get it done, I'll
trust.
probably take the risk
Make
and
it work.
do that. I would not do that long term. If I in long term, I define that let's go short. I mean, long term for me would be like maybe past a week or two,
Yeah.
because that would be
So
toxic for
I
me
have
and I
a
couldn't
theory
handle it.
on this. I have a theory. Let me know what you think, right?
Mm,
I think we have just been beaten into submission that it is acceptable to not ask or care about someone's character and just take what we can get. And the reason for that is because
Yeah.
it's impossible to figure that out.
right, because
Because,
it's completely subjective.
right, Ryan, you're going to interview, you're going to ask your contractor and say, hey, are you honest? Right?
I am
I
tip
I
top
would
honest.
I would no, he's interviewing contractors to put up drywall, and
Yeah.
you ask the question, "Are you honest?" I would trust the guy that says, yeah,
No.
most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Now
There you
look,
go, right?
I have learned long ago though, bad example because drywall, you need to be drunk or high.
Oh,
And
okay.
they do amazing. They
They do amazing
painters
job.
and drywall people, they need to
Definitely,
be banged up to do well.
Okay.
100%,
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Not all. Just the ones I deal with.
But
Maybe the good one.
asking the question and getting that question,
Yeah.
getting that answer, and again, not being polarity, I'm yes
Yeah.
or no, but someone
Right.
Right.
saying, you know, I try to be. I try my
Yeah.
best to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm pushed into situations and I answer too quickly or whatever, and I don't put my best foot forward, but I try.
I would
Right. You'll
hire
work with
that
that
person.
guy every day of the week because they're at least they're telling the truth about their
Right?
weaknesses and
Yeah,
they're
they're
aware
aware.
enough. Aware enough. And
Yeah.
that's huge.
Or
So
are they scamarty enough
right.
to know what to
Smarmy.
say?
Are
Oh
they
no,
smarmy enough to be like, yeah, I know what
Yeah.
this guy wants to hear, so yeah.
dude, I just
I'm gonna
watched
go.
this TikToker guy about a guy crossing the border.
We're not going to let
Yeah.
him talk about
No,
this
no, this
company
is
at
No,
all.
funny. So guy's
edit this
crossing the
out,
border,
Ryan.
and the police officer says, "Hey, I need to ask you a question." He said, "You know, the larger question is, in the Bible,
I
did
just saw that today.
did you see that thing?" And this guy takes
All
him
right,
on
here we
this.
go. I'm
He
ready.
takes him on this rabbit hole of like, listen, Jesus says this. Do you have a moment? Well, you know, I'll
Being
pull over.
saved.
You have a little bit. You have some time, so we can talk a little bit about it. The guy's like, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. U.S. citizen. You're good. And
He's
it's
talking
like
about
he
being
looks back
saved and all this stuff.
and he
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
back at the camera. I'm like, dude, he's got a trunk of coke. Like that is so awesome. He played the game. He's got 600 fucking kilos in his trunk,
Oh my gosh.
and he
Oh my
played the game. Anyhow, that's
gosh.
all we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
However,
Great.
But you have a
All
company
right.
that you run.
Yes. Yes. Let's talk about
yes,
that.
yes, Ryan.
About that.
Yeah,
Candy.
so great dialogue on when and why we think character is important in
Right.
hiring. And I think that the more we talk to people, everyone just kind of nods and accepts the fact that like I sometimes just need to put butts in seats and I'll take the crap roll on character. And
Right.
then
Right.
you start looking at the data of how much that wrong hire costs you, right?
Huh.
I've seen examples where wrong hires cost everywhere. I mean, there's a stat out there where it's like 30% of their salary could cost you. But I would argue in
It's more.
time lost, opportunity cost. Like there was one example where this company they brought in a VP of client services and assigned it to this account. And within 3 months, right, that client had been fired. It was one of their biggest clients. The client fired the agency because of this person. Like 3 people quit because of this person. And then they had to pay this person to leave. So all in, and then lost new business pitches because of it. So all in,
Right.
it was $1 million
Oh,
to
easy,
$2 million
easy.
loss because it was the wrong
Yeah.
Not
person. And it's
even
not just that they
the
couldn't do the
lifetime
job; it was
value of
more than
that
that.
client that lost.
Right. We're just
Untold.
not looking at those numbers. And so anyway, the cost of the wrong employee and that has a varying scale itself, right? There's the just bringing in someone who doesn't get along with a team or can't do the job all the way to, fraud. There's a recent example or a recent study out from the National Association of Fraud Auditors where 75% of the people that they found that committed fraud passed their pre-hire assessments.
Yeah.
These are not
Yeah.
people that like they passed criminal background checks, they pass, employment background checks, pass references, right?
Again,
And
they're
yet went on to
curating that.
commit fraud.
They're curating that. They've control of the narrative.
Exactly right. So anyway, I think I painted the picture that character is important, but the third point is that character is impossible to get. Someone's true character information, like who they really are, is impossible to get. Going back to the Ryan, if I'm interviewing you, Ryan, are you honest? Yeah. Okay, well,
Sometimes, most of the
sometimes.
time.
Well, there you go. There you go. But if I said, let me ask you your three references, these are your champions. The
Oh
people
yeah.
you give me, these are people that are just teed up to hit it out the park for you, make sure you get your
Yeah,
job.
I never thought that was a good idea.
Never.
Yeah, most people we've talked to, and we've done hundreds and hundreds of market validation research interviews, is that very few people use references. If they do, they just use it to check a box or to CYA. They're like, if that person goes rogue, they're like, well, we checked the references, as if that lets people off the hook.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can establish that process is terribly difficult to get. So, KANNY, we have found a way to get candid but confidential peer reviews that protect the privacy and dignity of both parties, right? To help generate and bring forward someone's character based on insights and scores. I mean, that sounds like a mouthful, but let me make it super simple. There are people on this planet that are qualified to tell me about your character. Ryan, the people that I'm talking about are people that you've worked with in the past.
All
Your
the
peers,
swim team
your
parents.
colleagues.
Yep.
Yeah, right? Your peers and your colleagues in the
Yeah.
past have the ability to
I'd
tell
fail.
This is why I am unhireable. See?
me. Right.
I'd so
Yeah.
fail.
Your KANNY report will be just amazing. I can't wait to watch
I'm
it.
starting to sweat. Stop.
As you
Actually, it's interesting because I'm thinking every so often we have these conversations where I lose train of thought because I start thinking about what the other person's saying, and I'm thinking about what was the other one? The guy was about it was about bad bosses or something,
Sorry.
and he had asked a question about a time when you had a good boss. Was it? What was it?
Yeah, and you could not find one.
Yeah, I think he thought
Wow.
I was like listening, and I was like,
No, no.
huh,
Yeah.
yeah, I really,
Ryan's
yeah,
been drinking
no.
since Tuesday.
And it's just like one of those moments where I'm like, you know, I can pick a few out that I would think would say I suck as a person because we've had bad working experiences together.
Right.
Right.
But I think when it came down to it,
Probably more than
post
said.
separation of working together,
Yeah.
I would hope that they realize kind of like what my point of view was, what their point of view was, and there was some learning experience that they would talk about. But I'm not quite sure how that would pan out. I might be
Well,
jobless.
and this what makes this conversation about character super important, but super uncomfortable for people.
Right.
Yeah.
People,
Right.
everyone,
They
me
can't
included, like,
control it.
we
can't-
all think we are just awesome across the board,
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good.
right? We think that, and I'll tell you too, the people that aren't awesome, the problem people, they don't know they're the problem people.
Yeah, it's like stupid. Stupid
Right.
people don't know they're
Yeah.
stupid.
And so what happens is, what we've seen is realization happen when people start seeing their KANNY score and report.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
I didn't think
that's
that.
yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, that's way better than I would have thought. I'm humbled, right? This is awesome, and I'm going to share it.
That'd
Or
be me.
I
crushed
think it would be
Right, of
mostly
course.
depressing.
Naturally, when we look at Ryan's, but here's the thing. My brother used this parallel. So he's a huge soccer or football fan for
Football.
those of you guys out there.
Football.
Sorry.
He's like, every professional soccer player has this spider graph of these 5 skills. It's like passing, dribbling, game awareness,
Sure.
whatever. Even if we look at the spider graph, right, which kind of shows the
Yeah.
area of where you're really good, and if you're not good at something, it's like an indent. So you can look like Pac-Man, or you can look like
Right.
an hourglass. He's like, every single professional soccer player, no one has all 5 characteristics peaked out. The best ones have like 3, and
That's
the
right.
other 2 are really low. And if we can think about that and say, I want that information on me, right? I want to know if people think I'm toxic in the workplace. Like the top performers, I think, want to know that information. and it would be awesome for them to know it and then find a way to do something about it,
Can you be a
right?
top performer and not want to know that information?
I don't know. I
I
don't think
don't,
so. I don't
yeah, I
think
don't
that's
think you
possible.
can.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
the
part of
best.
what makes a top performer.
I'm
I
thinking of the
agree.
sports because we all like sports. I'm
Hmm.
thinking if you're, uh, you know, pick your favorite player because I'm rewatching The Last Dance right now for the
Of
like third
course.
time, and
Yeah.
it's like the players that were role players, they wanted to be better role players. They knew what
Right.
they were supposed to be doing, but they still
Right.
want to be better at it.
That's right. They're
So
top performers,
that's right. They're
no
top
matter what your
performers.
role is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're a top performer, you want to know so that
I
you can
agree.
do something about it, or it validates what you already know. Like, okay,
I agree.
I am
Hmm.
pretty good at communications, or I am pretty, supportive of other people. Whatever the things are that make up character. And by the way, while you brought up the spider map, do you have a character spider map?
For me personally,
No, no.
or
Is
just in
there?
general? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, these things are fascinating to and see. So, for example, I'll show you a couple examples. I'll walk you through a couple examples. One is I've got an engineer, right? Super high
Okay.
on work ethic, super
Okay.
high on honesty, right? Think about that for a
Oof.
second.
Okay. I like
Low
both
on
those.
other things like humility, right? Like
Hmm.
and that's okay,
I
right?
was about to say.
Imagine having that conversation with someone saying, "Okay, I'm gonna interview Ryan. You're this engineer, right? And this is your spider graph. You're low on humility. You're medium on respect, but you're high on work ethic and high on honesty. I know you're going to tell me the truth.
Hired.
Yeah,
Hired.
hired, right? And
Hired.
so
Yeah.
that's the fascinating thing. Like I think it's once we get all this data, because we're getting an amazing amount and great data that is you can't get anywhere else on the planet about the human workforce, right? And when it comes to character, like publish a
Yeah.
series on look at the average spider graph from character by job role. I mean, think about
Right.
what a business development person is. Maybe
Well,
a little
yeah.
lower on work ethic, but really high on these other things that are important. So we're getting this
My
data.
cardiothoracic surgeon,
Yes.
I could care less if they have empathy
Yeah.
or
Right.
I,
Right?
Yeah.
Humility, don't care.
Yeah.
Don't
I
care.
don't care.
Can you
Work
fix me?
Honesty,
ethic,
don't care. Yeah. Work
work ethic
ethic,
and honesty.
honesty.
Yeah.
So
Bring
Do
it.
you see do you see a
Wow, that's
disparity
cool.
between what works and doesn't for organizations or
it's
what
too early.
seems to be more successful?
So we're still real early. We're in, just so you know, we're in the beta for users. So
Yeah.
right now we're looking for users to try this out and test out and get some results and beat it up with us and make sure the tech's working right before we launch it. So
Right.
I'm hoping that in the near future, as that data comes pouring in, we'll be able to go to an organization and say, hey,
This is
here are
what it
some
should
things
be.
that we're noticing and some trends like that might be
Hmm.
super interesting to you. So, but think
What,
of how powerful that information is in the interview process. As an interviewer,
yeah.
I get handed this spider graph, right? I know out the gate you are high on honesty and high on work ethic. I'm like, those are awesome. Let's talk about respect, right? Why do you think people are lowering you on this? Like, and I don't have time for idiots, right? Okay, I get that. Now that I know that, like, let's be honest, now that I know that, what we need you to do here is let's not treat them like idiots and to their face, but you can come talk to me anytime and I'll happily, you can vent to me about that. Imagine the development that can happen when we know that character data.
I do like how you said, don't treat them like idiots to their face.
Right. I mean, we all manage people, right? We know that things that are going to work and not going to work. And
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
help change behavior. Who knows? But the top performers will want to change that behavior, and down the
Yeah.
road, Canny will be working to develop content to help you change that behavior. A roadmap item is to have Canny certified coaches who can help you. You can register and get coaching for a finite amount of time to help you be more aware and then research and get better at these things. So.
So where do we go after the say dim beta? What's the next thing?
Good question. So first thing is let's just make sure that we can that like the unknowns, the hypotheses we're trying to figure out are number one, will people actually fill out these reviews without a ton of incentive, right?
Right.
The research that we did was, hey, absolutely, 80 to 90% of the people will say, I will absolutely take less than 2 minutes to fill out a review on someone that I know. So the poll came back, it was 90% said they would do it.
Right.
82% said they would do it regardless of whether they liked them or not. Right? Makes sense.
Right.
You have both sides of the aisle there. I think
Right.
there's just as much pull on either side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous spot for us to play, right? We do not want to be a vitriol place, a place where someone goes to be angry and try to take down an employee. And we've put a ton of controls and checks and balances in place to make sure that one person can't tank you, right?
So how do you get their information?
So here's how it works. There's some magic here that I'm not going to kind of go into,
No. Uh,
but here's a few things. People want to know, hey, how do you make sure that the people that
it's not the
review
same
me,
references.
should be able to review me, like they're qualified to do it? Well, number one is everyone who logs into our platform has to log in using their LinkedIn credentials. We know who you are. We know a lot about you based on your LinkedIn profile, your work history, like all kinds of things about
The
you.
overlap.
We can verify and validate that you are who you say you are, which is super important, right? So, for example, if I have some guy that I've never worked with, but I have a personal feud with for whatever reason, and take a number on that, I guess, right? If you have to. That person can't log in and review me and tank me, right? Because he's in the way the KANNY algorithm is built so that it just validates those things. Those working relationships are important, and whether you're a peer or a manager or a direct report, that all impacts our very smart algorithm.
So one of the things that would be is it on the roadmap that when we ask those people to review Bobby if they want their KANNY score?
Yes, absolutely. So
You know what I'm
once
talking
you're
about?
done reviewing,
The virality.
the review, it's a one-click review. There's no obligation to have an account. But at the end, once you're done with it, if you're like, hey,
I
do
want
you
one of
like
these.
this? Do you want this? And so what happens is, like you said, the viral nature of this is built to start kind of taking off. So once we kind of like pull out or release the engine, then I think the viral nature of this is going to take off, specifically for people that are curious. And here's the other thing, like a credit score, because this is actually more like a credit score than it is like a reference checking tool, because this is longitudinal. So like your credit score, you can opt to lock it, right? And just say, hey, I don't want anyone to look at this, and that's fine. As an employer, it gives you the opportunity to ask the question, which is, why did you lock it? Let me see it. And if they say no, well, let's talk about that. That's a signal. Let's have a conversation. That is super insightful information. So, but we give you complete control. You have to opt in order to show these things. Like it's all done on behalf of this person, not to this person.
And are we focusing on small businesses, franchise, the enterprise? Like
Good question.
Who's our target?
Let's talk about the two sides. One is from a user standpoint. This is really, like I mentioned, this is a no cost service for anybody that's wants to get a score or report that's out looking for a job or looking for professional development. So anyone can go in and do this. And our target audience are those that have a year or two of experience, because we're looking at your LinkedIn experience and your other publicly available information to find your peers, right? All the way up to like VPs, right? We've met with a lot of executive recruiters, and most of them have said, we don't really need this right now. We do this our own way. We have our own back channel, or not technically back channel.
I don't believe that for a moment that they have a tool. I just believe they don't want to know.
They don't want to know because they need to make the hire.
That's right.
I think there's a huge value in this at the executive level, but that's not where we're 100%. Targeting just yet, right? There's in the roadmap there are additional products for academia, for executive, for like blue collar. Like we can get there at some point, but right now it's just really targeted to those that have LinkedIn profiles and use that to map their career.
Right. And what if? And I understand where you are today. What if they don't have a LinkedIn profile? Because I've come across some that don't have.
Not our audience. Right. And so that's a super edge case. We're just honestly, all we'll recommend is like, if you're serious about a job hunt,
you might want to use this thing.
You might want to use the number one tool that people use. Yeah. Like, I don't know anyone that would hire someone that doesn't have a link.
See, that was an honest answer.
Yeah. See, it was an honest answer. I like that. Get spiderweb.
My chart is through the roof. Here's the funny thing is, I don't think I can get my own chart. I want one. Like, and I don't know that it'll be awesome, because think about how many people I've had to fire and let go in business building, right? I make tough decisions, And I'm going to tell you right now, I've screwed up so much. And
Oh
I've
yeah, me too.
hurt people, and I
Hmm.
unintentionally, like, this is just the nature of being an executive and a leader, and it hurts me to this day, right? That's just the way it is. So I am super interested in my spider graph. I just don't think anyone will fill it out because they won't believe that I can't
Oh,
see
they'll
them to
fill it
fill it
out.
out. Right.
No, you just don't want to see that
Yeah.
data.
No, no,
You
I'm
don't
good
want.
with it. I want to see it. I just
So
they
how
don't
do okay?
have an image.
So
That's
how
all.
does this work? If I want my graph,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do I do?
You go to canny.com right now, KANNY.com. And there's a little bit of marketing information to tell you about what we're doing. You click on the button for users, and there's
Hmm.
an opportunity right there to sign up for our beta. It's open for
Oh,
anybody to try. I will tell you it's in beta, and there's lots of things that we're figuring out and
oh
learning and
yeah,
making
Yeah.
it's
better.
part of
So
the
if you want to help
process.
us test and give feedback, please do so. Like we want as
But then
many.
you just go out and find and do it.
Oh
You do
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
It's all built now, and you have the ability. So we have three ways of getting reviews. One is through our what we call Canny Match system, which right now is using all this technology to go and find people. We're actually training a model right now to be able to get that better and better. Our goal is to improve this Canny Match
Hmm.
system. There's two other ways. You can invite people to review you. You can just go in and say, hey, here's the 10 people that I want to review me. You can also go in and we give you a custom URL that you can post on your LinkedIn profile and say, hey, I'm doing
Review me.
this thing, right? If you want to, and you've worked with me in the past, click on this link. If the wrong people review you, that's okay. Our algorithm sorts it all out. You don't have to worry about that, but post
Right.
it out there. Because one of our challenges right now is that people get the email from Canny and they're like, this looks like a phishing attempt, right?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
and
Right.
so
Right.
we've added content, but now we're just really trying to get the word out there that this is, while a brand new concept, this is legitimate, and we're using your data this way and not this way, and it is there.
Do
So
people categorize you as screening or as assessment? Like
Yeah.
that's a good question.
where do people
We,
put you?
we put ourselves in like the pre-hire assessment space, but
Right.
with they're very. I mean, no one focuses on two things. These are differentiators. Number one is character only, right? People a lot of times confuse soft skills with character because soft skills are easy to figure out, but character
Right.
is difficult. So,
Good point.
our key differentiator is character. Our second key differentiator is who gets asked to do the assessment.
Right.
Most assessments, it's the candidate, and that can be gamed. People know
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
do this, and they actually hate doing them, right? And in theory, what we in our research, we found that people do those assessments to check a box, and then they move on, and they're very complex to read out, and there's a value to those. But ours is we actually have people that the candidate knows that we find fill out that assessment. How valuable is that
And over
information?
time, this workflow gets pumped into the ATS.
That's exactly right. So right now we're building the system through our website just because we want to prove the model.
Right.
But we have in our roadmap, the very next thing we do is our integration with ATSs. We think that at some point
Yep.
our customers who are recruiters primarily and then internal talent acquisition teams, that they're going to access it
Sure.
Whatever tools.
through one of
Yeah, that
their
they're
one of
using.
their
Right.
ATSs. And so
So
we
how do I get to see the hiring manager that's interviewing me?
oh, you want to see their score?
I want to see
Yeah,
their score.
yeah, I think
Oof.
that's genius, right? There's
Oh
no
yeah.
reason that that's
Maybe
not.
not your market today, but how do I,
In,
as a candidate, without just going to Glassdoor or
of
something
course, right. There's
goofy?
always
Yeah.
You
Glassdoor,
still
but
can't. Yeah, but you can't get hiring manager data
no.
from Glassdoor.
There's a right now our model is you can only see your score and report,
Right.
and but paying customers can see whoever they want to see. So
Right.
there's a gap there that we're going to have to figure out, which is I think it is awesome that a candidate would want to see their hiring manager's information.
Yeah.
So there's a model in there somewhere. We can sort it out and figure it out, but that is for sure got to be on the roadmap because this
Yeah. I
is
mean,
transparency.
I could see a corporation saying we want to be open, honest, ethical, the whole bit, right?
Agreed.
If you're going to be here as a hiring manager, you're
Yep.
going to do this because
Yep.
we want candidates to come in and research as well.
That's
Yeah, we're not
exactly right.
hiding anything.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, creating a product that allows a client or an enterprise customer to open up their hiring manager's port to someone that they're interviewing, those features and functionalities that they're easily built. They just need to be mapped
Yeah.
out. So I love the idea of that level of transparency, and I think candidates would love that too. It's only
Yeah.
fair. It's
If
only fair.
if you're asking me, then why can't I ask you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I don't mind you asking me about my character.
I love the mutual transparency, right? I
Right.
think that's the only way it works.
So how are you thinking about doing integrations? Are you going to do them natively? Or are you going to work through a system?
Yeah, so we're doing all the diligence on that right now. I think we
Right.
are going to we have a set of advisors who really know the space inside and out that are going to weigh in. So once we kind of get through our beta efforts and we
Right.
prove the model that it works and that people will buy it. By the way, fresh off the press, we got our first commitment to a paid customer for beta yesterday.
What?
Yep.
Golf clap, golf
Yep.
clap.
Major East Coast university. So this is a big,
I'm
big
kind
deal.
of thinking I know who
No,
this
no,
Not the
is.
no,
one you're
no,
thinking. Not the one.
No,
Not the one you're
oh,
thinking. Yeah.
okay.
No, I don't mix those right now, but
uh,
one day. Um,
but one day I
so
will.
yeah. So the good news is that we're proving the model that people will pay for this. We're proving the model that people will do this. And once we've gotten and checked some of those boxes, then we're going to go all in on integrations because we think that that's just the way
Yeah.
that it has to be used.
I think probatively when you're talking to a prospect and they don't prioritize character in that scenario that you put
Yeah.
forth a while ago with the poll,
Yeah.
they're not a good prospect for you.
I agree.
Like it's
Yeah.
like let's just stop talking right now. Let's
But
just let's touch base in a couple of years.
yeah.
Maybe you think about character differently.
But most candidates don't think about that when they're answering questions like, "What are your biggest strengths and weaknesses?" Well, I'm going to tell you what I either learned on TikTok to say or what my skills are. But if someone said to me,
Hawk tour.
"Hey, what are your strengths?" Well, look, sorry, Ryan, that hit home a little much there.
No, William just he just referenced a TikTok. That's all.
Oh, okay,
You're good.
okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually putting out content right now to train candidates to weave their character story into the standard common interview questions. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what are your strengths? I am really honest and I am, but at the same time, I have a very strong work ethic. And here are some examples of those things, as opposed to saying, I'm really
Yeah.
good at this technology and I worked on this project that did these things, right? And so if candidates are trained that actually employers care about that information more than they think, let's start having everyone make character a
Hmm.
focus of the hiring conversation, which is really what Canny is all about and our push and our drive to do.
Last
Yeah.
question
So
for me. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead. You ladies first. Yeah.
Nice.
How about them Cowboys?
It's two against one here, man. And we
Right,
can both
exactly.
mute.
No,
I
no, no.
mean,
Ryan's going to ask
Well,
me to co-host on the
yeah.
podcast.
Well,
yeah.
we've been relevant in the last 30 years
Huh?
in
Uh,
every other sport in Dallas.
Mm.
in
So,
every other sport.
you've dealt with a lot of recruiters through the years.
Yeah.
What do you just broad strokes? What do you think the character spider graph looks
Oh,
like for recruiters?
remember, they're going to be buying your product.
Yeah. No, this is
No,
good.
no, no.
I I love that
You
question.
know why I'm asking this, Ryan.
I,
You know why I'm
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
this.
yeah.
okay. So here's what I'll say. I mean, just like with every other job, recruiters are scaled differently. I know some recruiters,
Right.
like literally all they did was pass resumes back and forth, and they
Right.
they they maybe weren't trained well enough to know how to actually do the job and be helpful.
Yeah.
And then I've had recruiters that I'm like, they've sent me two candidates, both of them were freaking awesome, and we crushed it on one. Right.
Right.
So just like with any other job, you're going to see a ranking, but it's so interesting to say that some of them are going to be super high on work ethic and super high on, let's say, honesty. There are some that are going to be low on integrity because they're just trying to get the sale, right?
Sure.
And that'd be interesting. I think I'm going to go back and do a little noodle
I,
on what I think that spider graph actually looks
I
like.
I want an industry report
Yeah.
on recruiters and character
Okay. Okay.
because
Give me
I
one
think
year.
that would be.
I'm gonna have so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
good data. Give me 1 year, and I'll be able to
I think it'd just be
present that data.
fascinating to then report back to the recruiters,
Yeah.
all the recruiters, and say those in staffing, that are corporate, and then be able to say, here's what it should be. If you're not in or working towards this, again, you're a work in
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah.
If you're not working towards this spider graph, then you're not going to be a great recruiter.
There you go.
You might be
And
a
that can
good
go
recruiter.
across any industry,
Absolutely.
any position.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about recruiters.
We're going to be able to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that for
So,
recruiters and give them something to attain and work towards. I think it's great.
That's right.
yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
when you release that research, let us know.
Yep.
We will send you a care package with a scrub brush, a lot of soap, some bleach. You can
Done.
just
Well,
clean
Yeah.
yourself
maybe
off.
at that point I know I'll never get another job in this city again. Uh, I think
This has been
honestly, I
fantastic.
think we're not giving it enough credit. I think it's be better than we think it is. But at the same time, look, let's go see the data. Imagine we're going to
Yeah.
have character data that
Well,
it
I think
can
there's a,
verify.
I think the difference in what I think again, just forecasting, years of experience,
Yep.
years of training,
Yep.
corporate versus staffing. So third
Yep.
party
Hmm.
recruiting,
Yep.
completely different than corporate. Okay, so like I think you're going to be able to then say to Robert Half or Manpower or somebody like that, say, okay, hey, listen, you got these folks that are 1 to 3 years of experience. This is what Spider Graph looks like.
Yep. I love it.
Okay, if you want that to be different, then these are the things that impacts that.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Ryan, I'm good, man. You got anything else?
I'm good, Sean. This has been really probably one of the better conversations this week, and
Yeah.
we're halfway through, so that's
That's
saying a
good.
lot. That's
That is
good.
saying a lot. That
So
is
out of
saying
the
a lot.
two
That's
that you've
good.
had, I'm in the top 50%.
We haven't. This is our first one. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Even
No, I'm
better.
kidding.
I love it. I love coming out on top. Thank you.
Ryan will put the fly Eagles fly
Yeah, let's do it.
into
Uh,
the music.
yeah, the intro. We're gonna swap the music. Boom, boom,
I
boom,
like it.
boom, boom.
That's just gonna happen.
We should just
There's
have
nothing I
40
can do.
minutes of scrolling Eagles theme song, and that will get more views, I think.
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Brother, thank you so much for coming on. We
Thank you guys
appreciate
for
you.
having me. This has been awesome.
All right, take care of yourself.